Sketchbooks are such an important tool in an artist's life. So why limit ourselves to just one sketchbook at a time? Hello friends! So today I'm going to talk about all the sketchbooks that I own and all the sketchbooks that I suggest you to have as an illustrator. And of course, this is my personal experience and advice based on my preferences. But in general, I've listened to a lot of artists. I interview a lot of them in my For Artists page that you can find in a link below. And I have gathered some ideas, tips, and I think that can be useful for you, especially if you're wondering whether to stick to one sketchbook or having multiple sketchbooks. Basically, there's not a wrong or a right behavior, but in my opinion, you should have multiple sketchbooks because each sketchbook should be focused on one specific goal. And the very first sketchbook that I think you should have and all artists should have is a crappy sketchbook like this one. Like a very inexpensive sketchbook where you can jot down your ideas, your very first ideas and sketches for illustrations, and you can do whatever you want, like a sort of diary and journal of your artistic journey and of your thoughts and projects. Maybe you are illustrating books, and when you first receive the story, you want to put down on paper like the very first images that come to your mind and that you want to visualize like just on the paper and not in your mind only. So as you can see in this sketchbook, there are a lot of ugly drawings, like for example, these sketches where I've drew an eye over and over again. I wasn't happy with the way I was drawing eyes, so I did multiple sketches. And then there are a bunch of thumbnails of illustrations I did. I was searching for some elements that I wanted to put in illustrations. Here I was searching for a character. There are a lot of drawings that I can't explain, and that's okay. Some other drawings are related to YouTube videos, and in general, I think you shouldn't show anyone this sketchbook. I mean, I show it to you now because for the video purpose, but I wouldn't dare to publish anything on social media because this is just for my personal use and for my intimate thoughts and ideas, and that's okay. I think this is so fake as a sketchbook that it would take me 5 years to finish it maybe, but the goal is not to complete the sketchbook, it's just to keep track of your ideas and sketches and thoughts. And if you don't like this size and you want a smaller one, you can use a sketchbook like this one, which is even cheaper. And personally, I don't use it so much. I've only used it once when I was at the beach for a little sketchbook. But I realized that when I'm at the beach, I like painting because I have more time, and other than this, I don't paint and sketch too much outdoors as I want to do. But if you want to keep it in your purse, in your bag, and drawing it when you are outside, that's totally fine, and it's a very good solution. So this is the first sketchbook that I recommend you to have because it's like the basis. I know that a lot of you are also using printing paper and loose sheets of paper to draw whatever and sketch, but I think that at some point you're going to lose that, and if you're working for a project, you don't want to lose those paper sheets, so it's better to have this crappy sketchbook instead. Now, the second sketchbook that I think it's necessary to have is a sketchbook dedicated to studies and practicing in general. And for example, I've used this Muji sketchbook for almost a year. Now I have another sketchbook, but I used to use it for everything, like for sketches, thumbnails, figure drawing, anatomy studies, a lot of stuff, because I didn't have the crappy sketchbook. But at some point I realized that I want my practicing sketchbook to be like a book. Basically a book full of notions that I can revisit later and learn again, and also keep it in my library forever. I'd also buy a fancier sketchbook than the crappy one. This one in fact costed me like $10 or so, and the paper is much better, is smoother and takes well both pencils and pens and inks. Overall, I think that it's nice to have everything put together and to do your studies in a good sketchbook. Not an expensive one, but not a very cheap one. Also, this is my new Muji sketchbook. It's thinner than the other one, but it has a very nice paper again, and yeah, it's not very expensive and it's a good format. It's like an A4 size. And I'm going to use it this year for my studies. I'm not doing too many studies nowadays. I'm doing more sketches and I try to be loose with my art. But when I want to study like character design or how to draw hands or how to draw feet, I want to do like a feet challenge this year. I'm going to use this format, this sketchbook in particular, and keep it just for that. So if you are a mixed media artist like myself, you want to have a 3 to 4 sketchbooks, because if you paint with watercolors and gouache and wet media in general, you're going to need a very good quality paper, like thick paper in your sketchbook, and so it would be an expensive sketchbook that you don't want to use maybe for pencils or for just drawings, and so you have to have like a dedicated sketchbook to that. The sketchbook that I'm currently using is this one. It's a handmade sketchbook, and it has both watercolor paper and printing paper and yeah, different kinds of papers. And if you can bind the sketchbook by yourself, I suggest you to use different kinds of papers so that you have one sketchbook that contains everything. But if you like to have multiple sketchbooks separated, then you can buy separated, or you can do separated sketchbooks. So before this sketchbook, I was using a Strathmore mixed media one, which is here because I finished it. And I've used it a lot for washes and wet media in general. I've talked about it a lot in my channel, so I'm not going to show it a lot from it. But anyway, once I finish this handmade sketchbook, I'll be using this Mossery sketchbook that I bought a couple of years ago. It's a customized sketchbook. The cover has my name and an illustration by Sibylline, which is one of my favorite artists. And this is like a small sketchbook, and it has watercolor paper. The paper is smooth, it's thick. I don't know if it's 300 GSM, but it's close to that. And the fact is that at that time I didn't know that I hated spirals. And so now that I love painting across 2 pages, I'm a bit forced to use this sketchbook because I know I should paint on each single page, but I still want to use it because I want to finish it before buying another one. So yeah, this is the sketchbook that I'll be using in a couple of weeks because I'll be finishing this one. And when it comes to mixed media, in particular dry media like pencils, nail colors, or I don't know, also very few washes of colors and inks, you can use also cheap versions because dry media sketchbooks are not so expensive. The paper is good, but doesn't have to be too thick. And I would suggest you to use this Talents sketchbook because it costs very little. I think $10, and the paper has this creamy color. I've also used some watercolors inside, of course, just a few washes, and yeah, the paper is so nice, so smooth. And I just painted a couple of pages because I had other sketchbooks that I were more interested in. So for the moment, it's like I stopped there. So once that I finished the handmade sketchbook, I want to use for dry media the smallest kind sketchbook that I bought secondhand. So it costed me way less, and yeah, I like the paper. It's like 165 GSM, so it's pretty thick. It has this ivory color and also this bookmark, and overall I've heard a lot of good things about this paper, and I want to use it for all my dry media, like again new colors, inks, and so on, everything except watercolors. Overall, when it comes to watercolors and gouache, I suggest you to use cotton paper because if you want to see how the colors perform, you want to have that quality of the paper. But rather than this, you can use a bunch of other solutions, other sketchbooks that are way cheaper, and they perform so well with mixed media and dry media. And now basically I've nominated 4 sketchbooks in total. So the first one for very basic sketches and ideas, the second one for drawing practice and studies in general, the third one for watercolors only and wet media in particular, and the fourth one for dry media and also mixed media, we can call it. And I would add a fifth one if you are like a traveler, if you want to paint outdoors, if you love that kind of activity. I suggest you to have another sketchbook for that purpose, because honestly, I wouldn't carry with me the main sketchbook, the sketchbook that I'm using for all my paintings, because I would be too scared to lose it. So I prefer to use a dedicated sketchbook, a smaller one that can fit my bag. And the last summer in particular, I've started using this small handmade sketchbook that has only cotton paper inside, and I've painted something at the beach, very basic paintings. Also this one that I've done at my grandparents' garden, and here I was at a park. And here I was doing a sort of painting session with my nephew. I really love the way she combined all these colors. Basically, she took all the colors I had in my watercolor palette. So it was for me the first experience of painting outdoors, and I really enjoyed it, and I want to finish it this year, this summer, while I'm at the beach or in vacation. And yeah, I'm going to use this sketchbook in particular, and this is the only sketchbook I have for outdoors at the moment. If we were to talk about overconsumption, because this is a very trending topic right now, I should say that if you don't want to overconsume, you should not buy new sketchbooks. So basically use what you have, the sketchbook you have at home, because I bet you have a lot of sketchbooks. But at the same time, I wouldn't limit myself to one sketchbook only, because as a traditional illustrator, I want to see how colors perform on different kind of paper, both watercolor paper and smoother paper and thinner paper. So I want to see the art tools on different kinds of paper and experiment. And so it would be a shame to limit myself to just one sketchbook. So basically, I don't want you to spend money on more sketchbooks, but at the same time, I would say that one sketchbook is not enough, and there are a lot of cheap versions, so you can buy some sketchbooks for a couple of bucks and invest just on one sketchbook, which is the sketchbook for wet media, because unfortunately, wet media need very good paper. And that is. So let me know in the comments how many sketchbooks do you use at the moment, or if you agree with the fact that you need multiple sketchbooks for multiple goals. And thank you for having watched this video, and see you next Friday for a new video. Bye!